Hello, if you're watching this, I figure you probably fall into one of three categories of people. You're either someone who reads my blog regularly and is probably wondering what the hell am I talking about Ironman for. You might be someone who follows Ironman quite a bit and is probably going to watch this and go, why the hell am I watching it? This guy actually knows less than I do. Or you may be a third category of people who have typed Ironman into Google and hoping to find more about the movie Ironman, and then instead have found me and is probably wondering why I'm there instead of Robert Downey Jr. If you are hoping to find some sort of trailer for Ironman 4, the next 5 minutes may well be the most disappointing of your life, so you may as well click off now. A little bit about myself. My name is Chris Reardon. I'm 38 years old and I live in Melbourne in Victoria in Australia. I have a wife and 3 children. Good question. Very good question. I think it's just one of the things I've always wanted to do. If you have that idea of just one of those little things that's been nagging away, and it started out as this is such a ridiculous thing, there's no way I could ever do it. And then as I did some training and things, it suddenly became something like, oh, it's not so insane, I don't think I'll ever do it, but I've now met people who have. And now it's suddenly become well, I'm heading towards 40 pretty quickly. If I'm ever going to do it now, it's probably the chance. So I've decided to sort of devote myself for a year and a bit to working towards the goal of doing an Ironman. For those of you who don't know, an Ironman is a 3.8k swim, 180k bike ride, and a 42k run. Sadly, you only get the one day to do it, so it's basically all those things done in one day. Any one of those things would normally terrify me. The idea of doing 3 consecutively is just horrifying, but by the same token, it's just that idea of doing something that's so impossible, it kind of appeals to me. And I figure if I can get through that, then I'll be able to get through pretty much anything. So basically, I thought I'd just take you through some of the things I've actually done over the last month, because this is the first month that I've been training for the Ironman. So one of the most important things I did, first up, well, I actually started listening to the I Am Talk podcast. That was very important, because that's really easy to do. You don't actually have to do anything physical. You can just sit on your backside to listen to a podcast, which I am remarkably good at. And during that, they actually made mention of a coach who was basically someone who lived in my area in Melbourne who had done an Ultraman. And for those of you who don't know, an Ironman is basically something that you do so that you can tell other people about it and they go, whoa, that's nuts, there's no way you could do that much. An Ultraman is something that people do so that Ironmen go, whoa, no way, that's nuts, there's no way you could do that. And basically this guy had done an Ultraman and had done it with 2 young kids, and his wife had basically written a letter to I Am Talk saying how wonderful he was. And I figured if you'd done it with 2 kids and your wife was still talking to you, then you were probably pretty damn good at getting that balance between life and training sorted. And so one of the first things I actually did was engage him. And since then he's actually started sending me a weekly program, and that's the training that I've been doing. One of the things I've sort of suffered through for the last month, we've had a really interesting week here in Melbourne in that the previous week we basically had about 4 or 5 days where it was over 40 degrees Celsius and it was just stinking hot. And I trained through that, but did it just early morning or late at night when it wasn't too hot, and thought I'd got done quite well with it. But I found that this week I was just absolutely shattered and just had absolutely nothing left in the tank. And I think for me the other big thing was that over the last probably 2 years I've had to be kind of careful with what I eat because I've been doing so little exercise, and I've now stepped up doing a lot more exercise, and I just don't think I was eating nearly enough. So I spent about 3 days not doing anything. I sort of got in contact with my coach and said I'm just feeling absolutely dead, and he said look, just take a few days off and see how you go. And did that, ate like a madman and feel fantastic. Had my first run back this morning and it felt really, really good. So after the first month, I'm still really confident. But there's a couple of races coming up that I'm looking to do. I did do a half Ironman probably 3 or 4 years ago, and at no stage during that did I remember thinking, oh, this is good, but I'd like to do it twice. But having said that, it was an absolute pinnacle, and this sort of thing that was this massive mountain I'd sort of climbed. And now working towards the Ironman, I've sort of found 1 or 2 races that are half Ironman distances that I'm sort of going, oh, I could probably do that, I probably should do that, and it doesn't seem so ridiculous. Now that you've got this really ridiculous goal to work towards, the smaller ridiculous goals don't seem so silly. So anyway, anyway, basically I just wanted to have this as a record of how I was going and what I was doing. If you've got any ideas or feedback on how if you're doing something similar, I'd love to hear your ideas, and feel free to post them in the comments. But basically I'll try and do this every month or so, just let you know how I'm traveling, and hopefully by the time I actually get towards the Ironman, I'll have a bit of a history to look back and see how I was feeling at the very start and how naive I was and how well I thought it was going to go. But I'll also let you know as I go along the cost and a few of the little things that I discover as I go along, because I think you often get to the end of these things and you forget exactly how you felt, or you forget how little you knew at the start of the process. So I'm kind of hoping that if someone comes along later on looking to do it, they can actually get a good idea of what it was like to start this sort of journey. So thanks for watching. Cheers, see ya.